Good afternoon and welcome to SnapTech IT's monthly webinar for April 2026. My name is Ted Hulsy. I'm Chief Revenue Officer for SnapTech IT and your host for today's event. Thanks for joining in for the live session. This webinar will be recorded and circulated to all registrants. You can always visit us on our YouTube channel for all of our content on demand. Today's topic is what's new with Copilot. I'm joined today by SnapTech Marketing Manager Nathan Caldwell. Nathan, thanks for joining me for today's session.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks everybody for joining in. Just want to remind you, definitely hit the Q&A log. Nathan and I are both monitoring it as we go. We'll both have dedicated demo sessions where we'll be kind of at the controls. And the other will be kind of watching the Q&A log as we go. So a great opportunity when you join these live sessions to hit us with live questions and be a part of the conversation. We like to spend 2 minutes just letting everybody know who SnapTech IT is. We have a combination of clients and prospective clients on these webinars and people from our community. So SnapTech IT, we are a cybersecurity first IT service provider with operations in Atlanta, Georgia, Phoenix, Arizona, and the San Francisco Bay Area. When new clients come to us, they're usually struggling with their technology. They might be struggling with their new provider. They might have let their infrastructure kind of get long in the tooth and they're having issues, or they might just be losing sleep over cybersecurity issues. And our philosophy is that technology should solve problems for your business, not create them. And so what we try to do in helping new clients is we put in place our proven process, which means that all of our clients have a predictable IT budget, they have a technology plan. We implement our best practices and cybersecurity measures and defenses so that our clients can work securely wherever their employees are. And then when things do break, things always break in technology, our clients turn to us for fast and friendly IT support. And they have ultimately the peace of mind that they have a partner that's helping them on their journey, helping them specifically with cybersecurity so that they can be secure and productive in their operations. We manage clients in 2 different ways. If you're a smaller company, you don't have an IT manager, you completely outsource to us, and we call that fully managed IT. Larger organizations might have an IT director, an IT manager, or maybe even a full team. Those sorts of organizations are often growing, and they've got too many IT or cybersecurity projects or AI projects that are on the back burner, and they turn to us for a customized outsourced solution, and we call that co-managed IT. Most clients get started with us by doing a cybersecurity risk assessment on their environment, but just as commonly today, we're helping organizations really turbocharge their AI journey. A lot of companies are dabbling with AI, but they're not attacking it as a systematic innovation opportunity for their organization, and we help take those organizations and accelerate where they're going with AI. So a little bit about today's agenda. We're going to be really demo heavy today, not slide heavy, demo heavy. We've been talking about Copilot with our clients and our audience for 2.5 years. Nathan and I were just commenting on this that working in technology today, it's like kind of like loosely ordered chaos. There's so much innovation happening that it's kind of a full-time job just to stay on top of it. That's why we hope that these events are opportunities for you to get a condensed expert point of view on what's happening. And today we're going to be laser focused on Microsoft Copilot and talk about the things that have really happened in let's call it the past 4 to 5 months. And literally every month Microsoft has new releases, new software, new licensing programs, new pricing plans, new features that are coming out all the time. And so we're going to try to take the most newsworthy things and share those with you today. We're going to be looking a lot at Excel because in the first 2 years we talked about Copilot. We didn't talk about Excel a lot because Excel was not doing that great. Microsoft was not doing that great with leveraging AI inside Excel. That has completely changed. So one of really arguably Microsoft's most important products now really has a ton of great AI capabilities. We're going to be looking at how Microsoft is incorporating different foundational large language models into the solution. We're going to look at some just kind of everyday life hacks with Copilot, and your Outlook calendar and your inbox and that sort of thing. And then Nathan's going to take us on a deeper dive around what's called agent mode for Microsoft Word and PowerPoint, and also look at Copilot surveys, which is another interesting agentic solution. So those are the main topics we're going to cover. We'll take your questions as we go, and we'll also have some dedicated time for Q&A. And then we'll look at some of the next steps in terms of opportunities to engage with us further on future events. So let's start out and get into this. Let's start out and talk about pricing. This can be complicated. I think, in general, what we want to guide and counsel our audience about a little bit is that most businesses, you should be looking to premium solutions for around AI today. There's a lot of choices on the market. You could be licensed. You could be using ChatGPT for business. You may be a Google shop and leaning heavily into Gemini. You might be exploring Claude. Today, we're going to focus on Copilot, but the common theme is that there's always a bunch of freemium solutions, but the freemium solutions are not good choices for businesses. They're not good choices because in many cases, the privacy and data governance controls you want in an AI solution aren't available in the freemium solutions. You really can run the risk of compromising your client confidentiality or your own intellectual property if you're using freemium solutions in the workplace. So we really counsel against doing that. We counsel to, get started with AI, get a Tiger team or a small group of, leaders inside your organization. Make sure you've got the right software licensed for them to start on your journey and to get busy figuring out how you can transform different aspects of your company's operations with AI. And today, let's just look at Microsoft Copilot. Copilot, now on the right-hand side, this is what's probably most relevant for most people on today's call, is I'm already a Microsoft 365 customer. I mean, Microsoft has something like 75% market share of the cloud collaboration market today with Microsoft 365. Google has the other 25% with Google. Microsoft has 75% market share with Microsoft 365, and Google has roughly 25% market share with Google Workspace. Most of our clients, most businesses in the world today are using Microsoft 365 as their cloud collaboration platform. Email, calendar, OneDrive, Teams, SharePoint, all of the supporting additional applications, the Office suite itself, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, etc. And then the ultimate question is, what is it going to cost me to add Copilot to that? And today, the short answer is it's going to cost you roughly $18 per employee per month. And that is like a promotional price, because it used to be, like a year ago, it used to be $30. Then about 7-8 months ago, Microsoft lowered it to $21 per employee per month. And now it's $18 on a promotional basis. So that's how you need to think about the potential investment. Now, a little caveat here, the $18 is your cost. Most businesses are subscribing to Microsoft solutions on an annualized basis. So I think this is $212 or something like that. Anyway, $18 per month, down from $21. So now's a good time to get more of your workforce involved with get them running Copilot. And then if you are using some other solution and you're not yet a Microsoft customer, they make it even more interesting to get in with Business Premium or Business Standard with Copilot. So this isn't even, these price points on the left are for if you're a brand new customer to Microsoft 365 and you want to add a solution plus Copilot, they make it even more aggressive. So if you're entertaining a switch from, say, Google, they're making it very price aggressive. By the same token, Google basically adds Google Gemini for free if you sign up for Google Workspace. So it's a clash of the titans price war out there to some degree, which is kind of music to everybody's ears for all of you business owners who are having to cut these large licensing checks every year. at least there's some price competition happening in the market for these solutions. But it takes a lot of energy to keep track of all this stuff. But just mental note, if you're an existing Microsoft customer, you can add Copilot for about $18 per employee per month. Okay, let's get into some demos and get into some live interactions over some of this tech. So I'm going to spend the bulk of my time talking about the improvements in Copilot with Excel. And what I want to kind of frame the conversation, you can use Copilot on Excel type material, either inside Excel, so you open up Microsoft Excel and you open the Copilot agent when it's fully licensed, and then you interact on your workbook. And when you're interacting on your workbook, you're in kind of a conversational mode. You can do things like, hey, help me to understand this formula, or I need a formula to do this, or I want to take this one part of my worksheet and I want to do something with it. I want to do conditional formatting. I want to turn all the negative numbers into highlight. I want to highlight them yellow, all the negative numbers in this one text block. Those sorts of things. So Copilot, Copilot just like, I swear, like as of like 7 months ago, 6 months ago, like it just did not do a lot of this stuff. Using normal conversational instructions to have it do formatting and formula changes and that sort of thing, it just did not work very well. Now it does. So when you're thinking about Copilot in Excel, it's usually working on a single worksheet or workbook. And then there's what we might call agent mode. And agent mode, you have to think about it in 2 dimensions. One dimension is agent mode is you give a prompt to Copilot and you let Copilot kind of go wild. You let it go build additional worksheets and tables and analysis for you. And that's what we mean by agentic. You're not holding its hand. You're giving it instructions, you're giving it guardrails, and you're saying, go build this thing based on the instructions I'm giving you. And so it acts as your agent to go actually create different kinds of Excel spreadsheet artifacts, if you will. The other thing you can do is you can leverage the agent. There's like a custom Excel agent, and I'm going to show you this as well. And you would use the custom Excel agent for kind of routine tasks where you want to have Copilot work on, say, multiple spreadsheets. Or like, so there's very common, and we all have these situations in our workplace where we've got like disparate data sources. We have like reports that come out on a periodic basis. And then at the end of the month, we need to do a roll up, or we need to pay a commission check, and we need to do an analysis on a certain amount of data. And so we all have these sorts of labor intensive, data intensive tasks that we need to do. And agent mode is an opportunity to take several of those different files, and you can upload them to the Copilot agent, and then it can kind of combine data. It can do an analysis across multiple worksheets, and it can run in the background. So you don't need to like hold its hand. You just give it some instructions and you let it go do its thing. And over time, the idea here is that like routine tasks, something that might have taken you 3 hours before to like say process the commissions on a quarterly basis for the sales team or whatever, it might have taken you 3 hours in the past. Now it can take you like 7 minutes to upload the instructions and the files, and then you go away and have your coffee, head out to lunch, come back, and when you're back at your desk, it's all done. It's often, from an experience perspective, it doesn't take 30 seconds. It might take 13 minutes, but it takes what was previously a 3-hour task, and now you can get it done in 13 minutes. And then for routine work, that's like this is the productivity holy grail that comes from AI. Is you start to have things that used to take you 3 hours, now they take you 13 minutes. And then beyond that, you can then take agents and integrate them into automated workflows. So you can even take it to another level where you can use things like Power Automate or other software automation tools and actually turn the work over to the agent without actually having to even intervene. So that's kind of what I just wanted to kind of give some framework around agentic versus kind of using AI capabilities inside the actual software application. And now let's go into some real life demos. Okay, Nathan, any questions at this moment?
Just to emphasize again, like you mentioned earlier, like these are fast, exciting times, and nothing has moved more fast when it comes to Copilot than Excel, because like you said, it felt like there was nothing there to gain advantage in Excel from Copilot, and now all of a sudden there's a ton of really helpful things. And so I'm excited for people to see what you're going to share with them today.
Okay, yeah, so just a couple of comments in terms of doing these live demos. One thing to note is that you need to be working in an Excel workbook. That's the first thing. You can't be working with CSV files. So if you have data that's in a CSV, you do need to convert it into Excel. Generally speaking, we get this question a lot when we do like live workshops. That's something like they're like, I'm not even sure we have Copilot. And the ultimate test is if you want to understand whether your organization has licensed the full-blown business version of Copilot for you, is if you open up Excel, Word, or PowerPoint, if you see the Copilot logo in the application, then you know you are licensed. Okay, so one thing we just want to show kind of right off the bat is Microsoft actually is making a pretty bold move in the sense that, you know, in the first, say, 2 years and change of Copilot, the underlying model that was being used was ChatGPT. So Microsoft is the largest investor in OpenAI. The ChatGPT service actually runs on the Microsoft Azure cloud. Microsoft is probably one of the biggest commercial implementations of ChatGPT technology. And so, so for the longest time, you could think about Copilot as like, okay, how do I get a ChatGPT-like experience into my whole Microsoft stack? Microsoft's now taken that a step further, and they're hedging their bets a little bit. I think they're also kind of making a strategic move to say, look, the language model itself is not where the value is. The value is where large language models interact with software applications and data, and we control the software apps and the data. And the large language model is more like the commodity that can be plugged in or out. So it's, to some degree, Microsoft's hedging their bets. So to some degree, they're like flexing their muscle and saying, look, the competitive battlefield, you know, OpenAI is our partner, but they're also a competitor, and all those sorts of things. But basically what you can do is you can now use the Claude Opus X large language model in various Microsoft products. So when you go into the actual application, you can actually decide, hey, I want to use GPT 5.2, or I want to use Claude Opus 4.5 or 4.6. Those are options you have. Now it's fairly subtle, you know, why you would want to do one or the other. A lot of times I just leave things in the auto mode, and I just kind of leave it up to Microsoft to decide which model is going to be the best to actually be leveraged in the task that's at hand. So that's just something we wanted to point out as an opening step. The next demo I wanted to show you is just some very basic things of using Copilot inside Excel. And so let's see here. I'm going for contacts. Okay, so this is just one where a very basic task, not an uncommon situation. You have a bunch of data. You know, maybe you got a lead file from you went to a trade show, and the trade show provider provides you this big mess of data, and you're like, what do I do with this? I got to get this into my CRM tool. I need to make sure that all of this data is in a columnar format. Yes, there's an Excel formula you could research and then go plug in to have it parse this data. But today, you know, thankfully, just a very natural language query, you can just leverage that in a prompt and ask it to just do stuff for you. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to be copying and pasting my prompts to move quickly today. And so I'm just going to paste in this prompt, and I'm going to say, so you all notice I've got this data. Emma Rodriguez, Austin, Texas. It's all in one column. I want everything split out into first name, last name, city, state. Okay, and then I'm just going to hit, ask Copilot to do it. And here we're not in agent mode. Here we're leveraging AI in the actual software application to help us with formulas, help us with tasks, interacting live over a single workbook, and we'll show how to go ahead and do that. So what you see is that Copilot is, without any sort of formula stuff, it's just going and doing the work, first name, last name, city, state. And then what you immediately notice is there's actually some of the cities are missing a space. And so like from a formatting perspective, Cedar Rapids is wrong, San Jose is wrong. So let's just do another little demo here and say, make sure.
Well, Ted, notice how it's asking you. It noticed that problem. Look at the language there. Note about city names, the formulas, blah, blah, blah. And it gives you examples of where it's missing those spaces. And then it asks you, would you like me to correct that? Now, imagine how helpful that is if your data isn't just 50 entries, but it's like 2,000 entries and you didn't catch that. It's catching it for you and feeding you, hey, do you want me to do this next step? Super helpful.
Right. So it gave us, it noticed the error and then now it's asked us to, and I said, yeah, sure, let's go ahead and fix that. And now you notice that Cedar Rapids, San Jose, et cetera, all the city names are corrected. Okay, so that's one. Let's just close that one out, and let's go to another example. And here I'm going to go to, let's see, I'm looking for demo 2. Okay, so this one, again, pretty simple task here, but what I want to do first is I'm just going to say, and this could be more complicated, it could be, but it's just we want to keep this simple. We want to kind of go from basic to more advanced here. But on this one, I'm just going to say, add a revenue column that multiplies units and unit price for each row and fill it down. Now, for those spreadsheet jockeys out there, you're like, why wouldn't you just plug in the formula and do it yourself? Well, we're trying to show a demo of how Copilot is far more capable today, just using natural language responses to go ahead and do various things on the spreadsheets in question. Okay, so there again, it took units times price and revenue. And then one thing I'm noticing is that I don't have dollar amounts for units and revenue. And I'm just going to say, make sure the prices and revenue are formatted in USD. Oops, better spell that correctly or I might get it wrong. And then I continue without saving. Okay, and then it should just go ahead and take the unit prices and revenue and format them as with US dollar. Okay, there you go, US dollars with cents. Okay, great. So another example, working in Excel. So now the other thing we wanted, so let's keep trucking here. I'm just keeping an eye on the time. The next thing we want to do is just look at, talk about agent mode. So I'm going to go over here into the Copilot web-based interface. And you get here by going to Microsoft365.com, or you go here by going to office.com, you log in with your Microsoft credentials, and you have access to the general chat interface where you can give Copilot specific instructions on either to be in work or to web. You can again choose models. Here we'll talk about that in a little bit here in the upper right. And then you have like your history of the different things you did, and then you can access all of your Microsoft apps here. It used to be when you went to office.com or you went to Microsoft365.com, you would get kind of like the coin of the realm 4 years ago for Microsoft was, hey, we have all these different apps you get in the Microsoft platform. Now today, of course, this looks a lot like a ChatGPT interface or a Google Gemini interface. This is the kind of the landing, the main experience, the work experience that Microsoft wants you to have. But one of the things that you notice right away is you have agents up here, and Microsoft is producing bespoke agents that solve certain problems. In prior webinars, we've talked about how to use researcher or analyst. And then what you also notice is that many of the common Microsoft Office apps, if you will, have specific agents. And this is where, kind of back to the preliminary comments I made earlier, where if you have kind of like routine tasks you want to do, you would turn to an agent to do it, because kind of what you can do here is you can give it your prompt, you can upload multiple spreadsheets, multiple data sources, and then have it output something in Excel for you that is working on all of that content together. And the agent will first make sure it understands its instructions. And if you haven't given it clear enough instructions, it's going to prompt you and go back and forth. But let me just show you some of the things that you can do. So I'm going to copy this prompt here, and I'm going to paste it in here. And it says, I'm a student doing a research paper on infant mortality. Summarize this data and create tables and graphs highlighting the countries that have made the greatest improvements in infant mortality. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab a file that is, let's see here, demo outlines, Ted's demos. Okay, I'm going to grab this spreadsheet, which is called World Bank, and it's literally like this massive spreadsheet that has all of the infant mortality date from like the prior 20 years.
Join us for more happy-go-lucky demos.
Well, anyway, like big data, like, right, these are weighty issues. And so you go ahead and you trigger the agent to go do the work. And the basic comment is demonstrating agentic tasks in Copilot or any of the AI tools is actually pretty tough to do on like a live webinar, because the challenge is it doesn't happen like in 30 seconds. It happens in like 10 minutes or 13 minutes. And so I'm going to just get, so it asks some additional questions, and then I'm going to go all countries, and I'm going to say, let's go. All right, so now it's off doing its work, but I'm not going to make you all sit here for 10 minutes and to see how that comes out. I'm just going to show you, I've already run this in the past, and I'm going to show you what the outcome is. So down here in my cached results, I ran this yesterday prepping for today's demo. And what you see is it analyzed all of this data, and it created this multiple tab spreadsheet. And I'm going to open it in Excel to get kind of a cleaner view. And what you see here first, just to kind of look at the raw data, what you see is you've got, all of these countries with, all of the like, actually, this is like actually a summarization of the most important data from the raw data file. But what I end up getting is I get, basically a series of tables and dashboards that give me the most important information. And, it is, as a student doing research on this particular project, one of the things I want to understand is that, like, okay, I see that Sierra Leone, like, literally had the greatest absolute improvement in terms of infant mortality, going from 160 deaths per 100,000 children down to 80. So it, like, literally in a 10-year period, it cut, or an 18-year period in this case, it cut it in half. And so that's like where the greatest example, the greatest improvement happened. And then you see these other countries where, in similar fashion, dramatic improvements in infant mortality. So agentic, let's just do another one. Let me just go ahead and open up. This one is slightly different, but let me just show you another example of how you could use an agent. And here I'm going to copy. I'm going to go into Copilot. I'm going to go into the Excel agent. Come on, Excel agent. Okay, great. Excel agent. I'm going to close these other ones just to keep my computer in check here. All right, I'm going to paste this one in. I'm a retail investor, and I like to do sensitivity analysis on forecasted financials presented by research analysts. Extract the P&L and cash flow estimates for Yelp from this research report and present it in Excel. And so you all, I'm sure many of you have seen research reports from Wall Street analysts on various stocks, and they're always great. They're always like very expertly formatted, tons of great data, but they're usually in PDF. They don't send them to you in Excel. And often what you want to do is do your own kind of sensitivity analysis by extracting some of that data here. So here I'm uploading a PDF of a research report from Bank of America Equity Research on Yelp, which is an interesting company. I think their stock's undervalued. That's my own personal opinion. But I want to do some sensitivity analysis and look at it in detail. And so it's going to first ask me like, okay, well, what do I want to do here? I want to do actual and forecast, and I want the full P&L, and then let's go let it go. But what I want to show you is the quick output of that, and not have you have to watch it whirl away. But so let's see here. Let me just kind of show you what it produced when I ran it yesterday. And it takes this PDF file. Come on. And let me just show you what it produced. So I'm going to open this in Excel. And it takes this research report, and it basically pulls out the analyst's P&L over the past 2 years, the next 3 years estimated. It breaks down the revenue of different kinds. It shows operating expenses, cash flow, growth rates, and margins. And it highlights, well, what's my source? And the source is the Yelp B of A report. So anyway, just think of all the different use cases, industry reports, white papers, various things where you need to extract either scientific data or forecast data or trends in your industry and that sort of thing, and then put them into a spreadsheet that then allows you to go do other things. So Excel agent, really cool. 2 final Excel just examples, and then we'll move on to other topics. But let's see. The next one is let's just see here. I'm going to copy this, and we're going to do the candy bar data first. So, okay, so candy bar data. So here I have this spreadsheet of all of this just sales data, right? We've all, many of us have probably been in the situation where like, oh, my quoting tool, I've exported all this data, and like, what do I do with this now? And you need kind of at least a master's in Excel to actually do something productive with it. Not anymore, because with Copilot, you can do something as simple as, let me just show this to you. Say, I'm a sales manager. I'm trying to understand our sales performance, analyze this data, and add 1 tab which shows top sales by product line, and add a 3rd tab which analyzes sales by geographic region. And I go ahead and hit that.
Hey, Ted, while that's running, I got a question for you.
Yep.
So this comes from Frank. He says, in your opinion, is Copilot a realistic alternative today to Claude or OpenClaw with regards to AI agent performance or services?
Yeah, I mean, I think most organizations who are looking to take AI door to door or wall to wall, as Microsoft says, in your organization, Copilot should be the very first thing you consider. There's a lot of folks out there who are madly in love with Anthropic's Claude. The challenge is Microsoft has the control plane. They have, all of your data is probably for most organizations, your data is already sitting in SharePoint and OneDrive. You're already using Teams. There's all these just rock solid benefits you get from using Copilot. And Microsoft is also being very creative in integrating the different models, large language models. So you can go and use Claude, Opus 4.x, actually in your Microsoft data, or in your Microsoft apps, the apps you already know and love. So I don't know, I mean, OpenClaw and kind of, agentic like automation is a whole other kettle of fish. There's a lot of cybersecurity implications with that, and it's kind of beyond the scope of today's webinar. But like, if you're just thinking about, should I do Gemini? Should I do Claude? Should I do ChatGPT for business? I would say Copilot's a really strong contender as your standard for all the reasons we're showing today. So real quick, it takes this raw candy sales data and it produces, gives me a quick summary, the lickable wallpaper, whatever. Let's see, this is what so chocolate is the big driver. Which regions are the top sellers, etc. So don't want to belabor the point too much, but like this is all of this capability in Excel was previously really, like, up to about 5 or 6 months ago, not very useful or inaccessible, and now there's just a ton of use cases. So what I want to do is keep going.
Another real quick question about that example you just gave. So you were in the browser for that, correct?
The very last one we did, no.
Mm-hmm.
The very last one, no, the candy sales one, I was in an Excel local, the fact client. I invoked Copilot, I gave it a prompt, and it analyzed this raw data to give me tabular analysis by product line and sales region on the candy sales.
So if you were to be in the web version, the web browser version, and you did the same thing of like pulling this spreadsheet in there and asked it to analyze it, where would that data be? Like, where would this file end up?
Well, I mean, this file, you can save it. I mean, whenever you're working in the web-based version of any of the Microsoft apps, your default save location is your OneDrive or SharePoint repositories. Now, you can take anything from the web interface, you can go save it anywhere you want on your machine or into a different file collaboration platform like Dropbox or Box or Ignite, etc. So anyway, you can save it anywhere you want.
So, and the point is not to, but if you're using the free version, then it's not secure. It's not saving it in those places. So you need to make sure
the free version, you can't do this. Like everything I've just shown, if you're not licensed for Copilot, everything I've just shown in the past 20 minutes, you can't do.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's kind of like the key message is like, yes, you have every Microsoft commercial customer has a free version of Copilot Chat, and you can do certain things with it, but everything we've shown today working in Excel, you can't do unless you're licensed. $18 a month, like we said. So I'm running a little behind schedule, and so I want to just, I'm not going to do a ton of demos here. All I want to show you is that you can go and choose different models here in the upper right-hand corner on any sort of task you give Copilot. So I think Nathan and I had planned to show you kind of the subtle differences of having like a 500-word blog produced on a certain topic between the different models. And all I'll say is that play with it. Play with it yourself. What you'll notice is, I mean, generally there's like some thought that Claude is better at articulation and writing tasks. That's some people's opinion, that they just think the content is better. Whenever you pick the deeper thinking models, either with ChatGPT or with Claude, you're going to get a more referenceable piece of content. It's going to spend more time working on the content, more time gathering relevant information, and give you more references to the work you're having produced. If you want something that's quick and dirty, that's just a quick answer, you're going to get it more quickly, but you're also going to not have references. So that's kind of like the main thing I wanted to show there. And then the other areas, before I turn this over to Nate, I'm just going to, the other thing I just wanted to kind of show is, generally speaking, Microsoft is adding more just like everyday use cases that are super handy for your day-to-day work. And so, the Microsoft gets taken to task, for example, on like how hard it is to find a particular email. Like search in Outlook is kind of like they get taken to task on that all the time in the public mind. The reality is Copilot's the answer to that. Copilot is expert at finding emails and finding Teams messages, and for all those pesky pieces of information you can't find between Outlook and Teams, it's really great at finding them. But there's more advanced use cases. Like, let me just show you one real quick here. Find a 30. So this, I'm in the work interface. I'm in the work tab. I'm in the main chat interface. It says find a 30 minutes next week for Ted and Nathan to meet to update on our AI workshop demo account access. So you can just, of course, there's a way to go in and create a calendar invite, use the scheduling tool to see when Nathan has a free block on his calendar. But sometimes there's like 7 people in the meeting. And you're like, look, I don't want to wrestle with that. I just want Copilot to find that magical 30-minute window when I can get the CEO and the CFO in a meeting together. And that's what this is going to go ahead and do. And then within a click of a button or something, or 2, you can then have the meeting invite off to the person and know that they have availability on their calendar. So here we go. Okay, here we go. So it finds, here's the people, it finds the available times. I can go ahead and just go send invite for option 1, and that calendar invite was created and sent to Nathan and my calendar, and now it's over on the calendar. And I think it was 10 a.m. on Monday. Let's just go over there and look real quick. And did it send it yet? Maybe it hasn't sent it yet. Sent items.
Yeah, it showed up just as you were moving away from it.
Okay, so let me just show you there. Monday the 20th, there's the AI workshop demo account access update meeting with Nathan and I. So just little life hacks like that are coming fast and furious. And let me just show you one more and then turn it over to Nathan. But the other thing is using Copilot as a way to just organize your inbox. I'm not going to show one on my live real data because I always get all of my action items taken care of on time, and so it probably is not going to find anything. But you can ask Copilot to go do that for you. But another just like example I'm going to give you is, let's just say you have a project you've been working on and you just want to understand what the next steps are. And I'll just give a little bit of context. We use a software tool in our marketing and sales called ZoomInfo, and we just renewed our license with them. And it was kind of a big rigmarole, like there was negotiations and a lot of debate about what we wanted to do. And let me just put in a thing. What are my next steps with Quasi? Quasi is our account manager with ZoomInfo. And I'm just going to say, what are my next steps with Quasi from ZoomInfo? And it's going to go and look through my email and come back and give me, basically what's outstanding, what's going to happen next. And so let me just show that to you. And then I'm going to turn it over to Nathan, and we will be on to our next set of topics. So bear with me here. Just take a sip of coffee. And this is always one of the struggles. Come on. Nathan, maybe we could tackle a question while we're waiting.
Yeah, so going back to the security concern, it came from Greg. He was asking that the concerns related to DLP or PII or SPI. So I'm just curious about those.
Yeah, look, I think the main thing you can say is that Copilot is designed to honor the existing data governance and privacy frameworks you already have in place in your Microsoft environment. If the permissions on your SharePoint environment are horrible and people have access to things they shouldn't have access to, turning on Copilot is a terrible idea. You need to make sure that the way you've got your data controls set up already today are rock solid before you go and turn on Copilot, because then Copilot becomes a tool to allow overly curious minds inside your organization to go on a potential phishing expedition over data they shouldn't have access to. But in general, the beauty of Copilot is your corporate data is so-called grounded, meaning that your corporate data does not get incorporated and integrated into the large language models, number one. And number two, when a user is querying Copilot to say, look at Teams messages or look at the recap of a certain meeting, it's going to honor the data privacy restrictions that are already put in place. Meaning, if you weren't in that really important mergers and acquisitions meeting, you're not going to have access to the recording, the transcription, the AI recap, because you weren't in the meeting. And so Copilot honors all of those data structures and data governance controls you would normally put in place. So, but just to quickly show this and then turn it over to Nathan, it's basically, it says, look, we moved from signing to onboarding with this vendor. They're going to be reaching out, to whatever. It just basically gives me, a nice quick digest of where we are and next steps here. And this could be any project under the sun that you're working on. And it gives you all the the email references that I can click on, and it would take me right into Outlook to go, study those next steps. But with that, let me go ahead and make Nathan the presenter, and then he'll take it from here and cover a couple additional topics.
All right, wonderful. So I'm going to be showing my screen. I think you can all see that now. Are you seeing it?
Yep.
All right, wonderful. Okay, so right now I'm just over in Copilot, and Ted already showed us how to get there. Another way to get there is just copilot.com can get you there as well. And so I'm signed into our business account. You're going to notice that has the options to do work, the options to do web. If you want to reference materials that you already have in your environment, you want it to be on work. But if you do want it to also go out to web, then you want to select web as well. Now, what I'm going to be showing you is working within Word. Now, there's not a lot of clear-cut information around why you would go to the browser versus working in the Word app itself on your desktop. But the main suggestion is, if you are going to create something new, they are suggesting do it here from the browser, from Copilot, and choose, if you want it to be a Word document, go ahead and get in on the Word agent. Or if you're going to edit something, you want to be in the app with your open document in the app. And so that's kind of the two recommendations that are out there. And so we're just going to go off of that. And I'm going to show you how it works here to create a new document. And so my new document is, we offer an AI Jumpstart program. Ted mentioned it real briefly in the intro to the webinar. We'll have a little bit of a clip as we talk about it at the very close of our webinar. But what I want to do here is actually create, and this is going to be my prompt, create a brief 200-word email template or less for our sales team to use in order to speak to prospects about our AI Jumpstart program that we reference on our website. And so because it's just going to be a brief 200-word email, I don't want it going through all kinds of documents and getting a whole ton of info. I just want it to look at this one web page on our website, because it's very summarized and it's very brief, and I want this to be brief. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit start on that, and it's going to do some work. It's going to create that. Now, this is what I wanted to show you, because you might be like, well, I've already seen that. Like, you're prompting it to create a Word document. It's going to create a Word document. But here's where it's also helpful. It gives you some options. Okay, what's the primary goal of this? Well, we want to nurture existing prospects. We want them to know about this. And then what tone would you prefer? We want it conversational and friendly. And then sure, this design is pretty good. So let's hit let's go. And so it gives you those options to create, which is better than having it go off and create something that you didn't intend and then having to start over. And so it's going to take a little bit, not too long, to create it, but I'm going to show you. I already ran this before, and so let me show you what it came up with. And as you can see, it went through and it gave me the steps that it did to reason. Reviewing the previous conversation, creating an email template, creating a sales email template document. And so it goes through a whole bunch of thought patterns in order to get to where it wanted to get to. And then look at this cool thing. It saved it in OneDrive. So the document is accessible now. And here's what the document looks like. And I love it. It says hi first name, and so it leaves it blank, so our sales team knows how to fill it in and what to look for. And also, you know, company name is left blank. Then it also references our web page right here, so that if people have more questions or want more info, they can go to it. And so then it gives you just a very brief synopsis. I just love it. I like that it's asking me questions before just running off and doing a whole bunch of stuff on its own. Now let's switch over though. So that was creating it with the agent in the Copilot app in the browser. But let's talk about editing a document right inside Microsoft Word in the desktop app. And so I pulled up this, and this is a real document that we have, and this is basically the outline that we have for our team to invite people to come to our webinars. And we update this every month when we change the topic of our webinar. But if you take a look here, the title of the webinar has changed right here. So instead of today's webinar, it's now going to be next month's webinar, and the date is correct, May 14th. But as I go down this document, I'm like, oh man, it's talking about an old webinar here in the body, Claude AI, so that's not right. So what I want to do is get Copilot to help me edit this. And so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on Copilot, and it's going to jump up and say, hey, what can I do for you? And so I'm going to ask it with this prompt here, help edit this document to be about our upcoming webinar. I hate my IT provider and what to do about it. Keep the webinar title and hosts, but then use the following blogs to update the abstract. And I have 3 different blogs, links to them that we've already published that really talk about this whole issue about you're just not happy with your current IT provider. And so I'm going to go ahead and tell it to do that. And now if you notice in my instructions, I asked it to, let's see, keep the webinar title and host, but help edit this document to be about our upcoming webinar. Okay, so watch what it does. And it's telling, here we go. This is ready to paste, so you can take it over there. Now, when I had done this before, it actually started highlighting key pieces of the webinar and changing it. And so let me show you what had happened was it highlighted the abstract and it started editing the abstract. And then it asked me if I wanted to update the next section. So here's the thing about the demos and what happens with Copilot is sometimes it does things one way and you're like, great, this is going to be awesome for the demo. And then other times it surprises you and does something like this where it's asking me to copy and paste. So instead, I'm going to say, it tells me if you want next, I can rewrite the agenda. And so I'm going to say, please rewrite the abstract now. And let's see if that helps me with that. All right, so it's still doing it over here, right in the chat rather than updating the document. So I don't like that at all. So I'm going to show you what we can do as well. If you were to even just highlight it and, or we don't even need to highlight it here. We can just, as you notice, I hit the Copilot little magical button there, and I can say rewrite the abstract. And I'm going to actually pull my prompt here. And see if it does that right here. Nope, it's not able to do that. All right, so this was a bummer, Ted, that I worked so hard, and you saw me do this.
Just keep moving.
All right, here we go.
We placated most of the demo gods, but not all of them.
Yeah,
So,
I know, I know. But anyway, that's how it can work sometimes. But the cool thing it did for me before was it highlighted a chunk, it changed it, I liked it, and then it asked me if I wanted to update the next section. And so that was good, but all right. So let's move on, and I want to show you a few things in PowerPoint. And so let's go back to our agent in the browser. And so we're going to go back to Copilot, and this time we're going to go into PowerPoint, and we are going to, you know, Ted knows that I'm Canadian, grew up in Canada, but I live in Florida now, and it's springtime, and the NHL hockey playoffs are about to start. But the NHL has a really bad program, a really bizarre program where they only show certain games on certain channels. And so I want to figure out where I can watch the game. So my prompt is create a 10-slide deck that shows exactly how to watch the playoffs and include info on how to maximize free options for watching each game, because I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on subscriptions. So here we go. We're going to ask it to do that. And for time's sake, I'm going to show you that it did create something in the app, and it asked me multiple questions. So as it was telling me, hey, I'll help you make this, it asked me, who's your primary target audience? And I'm budget conscious, so that's going to be me. And then which ones to prioritize? I said all equally. I want it detailed in 8 to 10 slides, and then it asked me about the design work that I wanted to happen. And then it went about creating the presentation for me. And it did pretty good. It got a lot of the info. It had some hockey images. It had some charts to help me out. It even had some reference materials of how it got the answers. And this is all from the web. And so, you know, I thought that was pretty good. But then there's also the option where you can, and this is a powerful thing to pay attention to. If you have a presentation now, and this is a new feature of Copilot within PowerPoint, is that you can go in and you can click on individual sections where there's text, and you can click the little Copilot button, and it can help you with auto rewrite, condense, make professional, or make it a list. So I'm just going to say, make it a list, Copilot, and then boom, very quickly, it's now a list. This is powerful because now you can quickly edit chunks of your presentation. You can have Copilot create the whole presentation for you. Then when you open it up in the app and you want to edit small sections at a time, you're even saving more time while you are editing. But let me tell you, pictures, not as good. So they don't give you the little magic button. And here's an example. And I showed this to Ted, and it took so long for it to edit and bring me a picture. I said, hey, Copilot, this picture is not hockey. I need a hockey picture. And so it said, you know what? You're right. That's a soccer picture. Smart. Picked up on what it was. Not so good on the artistic rendering of a hockey broadcast, though. Look, that looks brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah,
so
not
anyway.
to be too. Yeah, not to. I mean, I mean, if you toggle through the rest of this presentation, you'll notice a lot of the imagery is quite good. There are. Look, I think we've been doing these. We're doing a lot of this. Wait a minute. There's a football player. Okay, wait. So there are rough patches. There are issues that you still need to navigate around. Hallucinations crop up in ways you would not otherwise anticipate. But what I will say about PowerPoint is I've played with all of the competitive solutions, Claude for PowerPoint, Gamma, and nobody holds a candle to Microsoft. And I would say 100% of the time when I ask it to create a PowerPoint for me from content I already have or from scratch, it gets me to 80%. And then what Nathan is showing is that you can now do that in the agent mode, and there's like these little subtle nuances. It used to be that you couldn't leverage Copilot to like change textual elements in each slide. And that's a very common thing you'd want to be doing, either to make something more robust, longer, or maybe make it shorter. And now those little subtle nuances are starting to appear. And so the innovation just continues. Hopefully, today's examples showed you, I'm going to take back control, Nathan, right?
Yeah, I had one final thing, but I know we're out of time.
Yeah, I think we just need to nix surveys.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're
out of time.
It's good.
Yeah, check out surveys. But in the interest of time, we're going to wrap up here. Let me do this and make myself presenter. Okay, great. And then I'm going to go back into the PowerPoint. So just to kind of wrap us up, show my screen. Okay. All right. Okay, so just to wrap us up, thanks a lot for joining in for the live session. Hopefully you all found this interesting and informative. Nathan, thank you very much for riding shotgun with me and sharing your demos. Lots of different little improvements that have come in Copilot, and the innovation just doesn't stop. So you gotta invest time to pay attention, to keep up on this stuff. If you want to spend time with us, either talking about your AI strategy as a company or talking about anything related to your IT management, go ahead and click the QR code on the left. And then if you want to join us for our main webinar in the month of May, which is I hate my IT provider, what can I do about it? Very educational session for anyone kind of struggling with their current IT operations, especially if the outsourcing isn't working out as planned. Come to get some advice from us on that by snapping the QR code on the right. And with that, thank you very much for joining this month's webinar. Sorry we went a couple minutes over. Nathan, thanks for spending time with us, and we'll see everybody on the future webinar.
Great to be with you. Have a great one. Bye.